Hey everyone, welcome back. Hey, today what I'd like to talk about is some jazz changes that can really spice up the playing that you do. Maybe add a little bit of harmonic textures to it. You know, one of the things about gospel music is they basically steal from the jazz idiom or vice versa. Maybe the jazz guys steal from the gospel idioms. But what they want to do is they want to like put some more flavors, put some more spices in things. So one of the things you'll commonly hear people do is just adding sevenths or ninths or something like that to a chord progression. But then where it really gets fun is when they start adding some like alternate changes and putting some like real spice chords in. So for instance, if we took a regular stock CCM type of progression and I took just a D major chord and I wanted to go down to a B minor and then I wanted to go to a G chord and then I wanted to go to an A chord. So that's really stock sounding. You've heard that in a million different progressions. One thing that the first thing that we can do though is if we put a different note in there. So I'm doing a D major 7, and then I can go down to a D minor 7, B minor 7. So D major 7, B minor 7, E, F sharp, A, D. Then I can go to the G major 7. A lot of times I'll do like a G major 9. So it's like a D chord with a G bass on it. So G, A, D, F sharp. And then up to that A chord. That already adds a little bit of spice. Okay, but now we're going to go into a little bit more depth. One thing that you can always do, and jazzers do this all the time, is you can approach any chord by its 5 chord. Now what I mean by that is if I'm in the key of D, if I just count up from D, D, E, F, G, A, I can approach my D chord by this A7 chord or an A major chord. You hear how it wants to resolve there. So, for instance, when I go from the D, let's take this D major 7 and I want to go to this B minor 7. If I go from D major 7 to B minor 7, I can approach the B minor by its 5 chord. Okay, so if I count up from B now, B, C, D, E, and because of the key signature, F sharp, so I didn't call the accidentals, but it would be an F sharp chord. And I can do an F sharp dominant chord. That's an F sharp 7. So I'm going to do F sharp, E, A sharp, C sharp. Okay, and you've heard that sort of sound before. Okay, so now I can take this even a step further, and I can add some spice to this chord. So I'm going to do the notes F sharp, E, A sharp, D natural. It's really like a C double sharp, and that would be called a sharp 5 because I'm making my 5th note sharp there. So that's a F sharp 7, sharp 5 to B minor 7. All right. Now let's add one more layer. So if I'm here then. All right, I'm going to add another chord in now. Now this is real jazz land now. So when I approach from a 5 chord, I can also approach from a 2 chord into the 5 chord. Okay, and in this case, so if I'm in B, if I go up to C sharp, that's my 2 chord. So B, C sharp, and then the 5 chord would be the F sharp chord. So I'm going to do C sharp, F sharp, B. And so you hear this sort of progression a lot. Okay, that should be familiar to your ears. This 2 chord though, it can either be a minor chord or a minor 7 flat 5 chord. In this case, I don't want to go into all the theory on it, but because we're going to a B minor chord, this is 6th chord. In the key of D, this is going to be a C sharp minor 7 flat 5. Okay, so like a C sharp minor 7. So that would be the notes C sharp, G sharp, B, and E, but I'm going to take this fifth note, like my power chord, and I'm going to lower it a half step. C sharp, excuse me, G, B, E. And then I'm going to go to that F7 sharp 5, F sharp 7 sharp 5. So now I've got this. Now, if I go to the G chord, I can also approach that G chord from its 5 chord. Okay, so if I count from G now, so I'm going D, B minor, G, A is my ultimate progression. But now I'm going to go D, C sharp, F sharp, then my B. Now I want to approach this G chord that I'm going to from its 5 chords. So G, A, B, C, D. Okay, it's going to be a D, and it's going to be a D dominant chord. So I'm going to play a D9 for this one. I can play a D7 as well. Okay, so let's take this progression so far. You hear how that wants to drop onto that G chord. All right, now we're going to add a little bit of spice to this. So this, again, is how the gospel guides will think through this stuff and do this stuff. Most of it, by the way, is just by ear. It's intuitive. They hear these things. It's not really a logical thinking through a lot of times, but it's really more just how the ears approach things. Okay, so I want to go from the 5 into that G, but I could also, just like I did on the last one, I can go from 2 to 5 to 1 again. So if I did 2, if I'm in G now, okay, so G is where I'm heading to. The second chord is going to be G, A, and it's going to be an A minor 7. And then I'm going to go A minor 7 to the 5 chord, which is D9. Okay, so again. And now listen. Okay, so 2, 5, 1 again. A minor 7, D9, G. Okay, let's take the progression so far now. So D major 7, C sharp half diminished, F sharp 7 sharp 5, B minor 7, A minor 7, D9, G. And now I'm going to add a little bit of spice to the G. Let's make it a G major 7. So I'm going to do G, F sharp, B, D. Okay, so again. All right, now I'm going to add a little bit more spice. Let's go a step further. When I go from this B minor chord, B minor 7, I can also play this here. Okay, and I'm going to do this just for showing you sake. But if I'm going to this A minor 7, you notice it's the same chord shape. I can approach chromatically. And then go to the D9. So if I did this, all right, that's again a progression you should have heard previously. And now I'm going to add one last piece of spice to this thing. After I do the B minor 7, B flat minor 7, A minor 7 to the D9, let's make this thing a D7 flat 9, and we'll get a nice little chord voicing movement in here. So it's going to be D, F sharp, C, E flat. Now listen to the chord voicing. Now listen again. Did you hear that? Okay, so again, D major 7, C half diminished, F sharp 7. Now I'm going to go straight into the A chord and back, but we're going to have some fun with this A chord. We're going to spice it up just a little bit. So I'm going to do, instead of the straight A chord, I'm going to do a G chord with an A in the bass. Okay, so check this out. the D major 7. All right, I'm going to take one last thing. I'm going to make this A7 chord a little bit more spicy. I'm going to alter it, and all I'm going to do is take my first 2 fingers here, and I'm going to drop them a half step. So it's going to be the notes A, G, B flat, C sharp. And then I'm going to do a final turnaround. Instead of just staying on this one chord, I'm going to go 2-5 on this, but I'm going to do an altered 2-5. I'll do the exact same as that C sharp minor 7, flat 5. I'm going to do E minor 7, flat 5, A7 sharp 5. So that's the exact same as, but I'm up a third. Okay, so all right, so those are some alternate changes. You can hear that there's a lot more spice on this than there is just on. How great is our God? Sing with me, how great is our God? All will see how great is our God? How great is our God? Oh, sorry. How great is our God? Sing with me, how great is our God? How great is our God? Okay, a little bit much for that one, but you get the idea of how you can use these to spice up any sort of progression. Anyhow, I hope that helps you out, and God bless until next time.